For today's video, I wanted to kind of change tack from a lot of what I've been focusing on lately and just talk about some, I guess, experiences in my life that are leading me to kind of a transformation. And I think as women, we all experience this type of transformation at some point in our life. And if you're a man watching this, then you probably experience this in your own way at some point in time during your life as well. The tarot card for the day today on Facebook was the Lovers from the Tarot Illuminati. And this really just seemed to be kind of the icing on the cake to the experience that I've been having lately. I've been working with a dear friend and a healer, and I don't think she'll mind if I share her name. Her name is Danita Coburn Amadeo, and she is a very, very powerful and strong goddess and healer in our community, and is really helping me to open my eyes to the judgment that I have towards myself, my body, my femininity, and a wound that needs to be healed for us as a society, I believe, for the feminine within our life. Marrying the two Marys, as Tori Amos talks about, and really honoring the sacred feminine within ourselves, whether we're male or female, instead of being so judgmental and harsh about that. So I wanted to bring tarot into this because I feel like, tarot is like what weaves everything together for me, and it's such a part of my own healing journey and my own opening up and awareness within myself. So I wanted to start with judgment, because I think that we could talk about and use this card as far as the shadow aspect of judgment. And it's really a state of being that I've been with my body, with myself, for quite some time, trying to step into a space that I feel is an ideal, and that if I'm not there, being filled with judgment for myself regarding that. And I will tell you that having a baby, being pregnant, having a baby completely changes your body and your view of your body. And for a lot of women, that change in view is quite positive, because it's really actually quite amazing what the body can do, and what it does do in, first of all, carrying a baby and then having a baby. But for me, and that all was very amazing and quite a powerful experience for me. But my body is on its own journey to getting back to a space that I feel comfortable in, especially regarding weight loss and just the way my body looks. I really struggled with bulimia as a teenager, and I have a very, I guess, at times distorted view of my body. And so the judgment card really does kind of apply perfectly the judgment in shadow for this space that I have for my body, and as expecting it to live up to this ideal that isn't really real. It's actually a computerized ideal, and it isn't something that my body is comfortable being at anyhow. And so I'm really choosing now at 29, I'll be 30 in May, to step into a much more positive and appreciative view of my body, of my femininity, and really enjoying it. And so that's why the Lovers applies so perfectly for today and for my transition through this process. And I'm going to show you the Lovers in the Tarot of Vampires deck. I am going to get my hair cut in a style that I've wanted to do for some time, but it felt like I had to lose enough weight to do in order to get there. I will be dyeing my hair black again, which I felt that I had to lose weight again in order to do for quite some time. And I'm really going to be letting go. I'll also be getting a Monroe piercing, thanks to a wonderful friend of mine. And if you watch this, you know who you are, and I thank you so much. It's my Yule gift this year, and it's just the best gift ever. But I felt like I've had to lose weight in order to get that, and that I've had to change my body in order to be attractive, and that I can't dress the way I want to because I don't look the right way, that we would say in our society to dress that way. And these are all outer things. And so we might say as spiritual beings, none of this stuff matters. This package doesn't matter. Like, let it go. But the beauty of being an earth sign is that I think you come to the realization just through the element you chose to come into and interacting with that element, that our physical body is an expression of our spirituality as well. And that's why I'm stepping from the Judgment card in the shadow side into the Judgment card in the positive side of taking action and saying, no, I'm choosing now to change a thought pattern, to change a belief that I've taken on from my childhood, from society and the society I grew up in the way of that we believe femininity is attractive and it has to be this way, it has to fit into this box in order to be attractive. So I'm choosing to stop that thought process. So to stop from using the Judgment card in the shadow element of being harsh on myself and choosing to try to live up to some ideal that just isn't possible and not acceptable and that I don't agree with for anyone else, and that I would say if you were my client and you came to me that we would work on ways of loving and using the Lover's card in a positive way to change that way of thinking and that belief that we've chosen to take on. Well, now I'm really using the Lover's card inwardly for myself to change this way of being, and realizing that this is a deep wound in myself that actually deserves to be healed, and that it's keeping me from doing things that I want to do and that I love to do and that are expressions of myself. So because this physical body through the earth element is an experience of my spirituality, I'm making a lot of changes in my life that are fun and joyful and bring a lot of sparkle to my being and make me feel good. And I'm not going to let what I believe my weight should be or what I believe my body should look like stop me from doing any of the things that I really want to do and that I'm excited about. And so I am looking forward to, and I'm stepping into a space of letting my sparkle shine and letting other people see me as I really am. And part of that does involve this physical aspect as well. And so that is very exciting, and it's a new chapter for me. And this is a time when I'm really releasing, and I'm choosing to release these beliefs and these thought patterns, and I'm going to be using tarot to do that. And so that's what I wanted to talk about today, to use the Judgment card in its positive aspect to step into change and to create change and to step into an empowered way of being feminine and in this physical body. So it's an interaction with Isis and with Aphrodite in a very beautiful, exciting way for me that I am not going to wait to experience anymore. I'm ready now. I'm here now. My body is here now to express and be feminine and enjoy that. And so the Lover's card comes into play because the Lover's aspect is talking about uniting the feminine and the masculine within myself. And so stepping from that space of judgment and that harsh, demanding voice that occupies space in our mind that is trying to protect us, but so often ends up being expressed negatively and in a way that is harmful to ourselves, and is an aspect of conditioning that we chose to experience in our youth. The work of uniting and joining the masculine and the feminine within is to change that judgment, that harsh critic voice, into one that is honoring and loving. So that involves quite a lot of work. And that's why I've chosen the Five of Knives as well to talk about, especially in this deck, the Tarot of the Vampires deck. The Five of Knives really talking about how we've chosen to believe something within ourselves, something that we fear, and we've given it life. And we've said that it is true, it is living, this fear, this phantom, that then becomes a monster that we are afraid of, and therefore we don't make any forward movement because we're afraid of this monster. And there are too many dissenting voices within or without that are stopping us because of this fear, that if we would just face it head on and let go of it, would dissipate and would be gone, and we would be able to do whatever we wanted to do with our life. And so the Five of Knives comes into play with this aspect of cherishing ourselves in our physical form, in whatever form it may be, by facing the fear that we have, this negative perception of ourself and our body, And we don't have to be female to have a negative perception of ourselves. So I'm including you if you're a male watching this video as well. But this fear aspect that it's time to let go of. And so how do we let go of that? By bringing in the Lover's energy and the Judgment aspect of the Judgment card in its positive way of spurring us to action to stop a thought process that's no longer serving us. So it's really this marriage and this interlacing of the Five of Knives and the Judgment card in this really organic, beautiful way if we allow it to happen. We just have to be fluid to let that happen. And I'm also including in this first video talking about changing our perception, opening up healing and allowing healing to occur regarding our physical experience in this form. I'm including the Daughter of Scepters from the Tarot of the Vampires deck especially. She is extremely in her passionate physical power and very strong in that power. And she is very believing in her passion and her spirituality and what moves her. And that would include her physical body. I mean, she's just such a sexy card anyhow, isn't she? And she's completely on a journey with this experience of the passion of her life and what is passion to her. So all of these cards are really melding together for me today and meshing together. I'm in a state of transition in my life in general, but I am choosing now to really heal these aspects of myself that have been wounded for years and years and years and that I have pushed away the healing aspect for. So that healing doesn't mean just being positive and in an active state of choosing a better, more loving, more full way of living for myself. It does involve healing past experiences, looking back at those things, honoring the journey that my body has been on, and that my thinking regarding my body, what I want to look like, what I want others to think of me in my physical appearance, because that is part of our physical experience. What image are we presenting to the world? And tarot really, I think, is very understanding that that is part of our process. And I think we really see that experience in the minor arcana. Also in the world card, in the major arcana, really. But it's really about doing some deep digging and removing a lot of what doesn't serve. And we have to remove that by honoring and acknowledging the pain that we've experienced. So it definitely is about stepping into an empowered and positive space, but there is a concrete way that we get there, and that's different for each of us. But for me, it does involve an honoring of my story and my journey, what I've accepted as my story. So I have to honor that before I can change the story. And tarot really is helping me on that process. And so I have been quiet for the past few weeks because I've really been understanding that a huge transition is coming into my life in all respects and all aspects of my life yet again. And that there are things that I have to step into my power about if I'm going to really move with this transition and not resist it. And part of that does come into play with this physical package and being, and uniting that with my spiritual experience and being empowered about my body and myself and loving. So that involves treating your body in a loving way, so honoring it just the way it is, not needing to change it. But also taking care of this body and thanking it for being part of this learning journey and carrying us all through it, however the body carries us through it, whether it carries us through strongly or it manifests as illness in our, in this body, so that we have to pay attention to the healing that needs to occur, so that we have to dig deep into things that maybe we've really been avoiding and we're quite adept at avoiding for some time. So this is really a very powerful time for all of us, I think, and I think Yule in general anyhow, at least for me, it's really about clearing out this stuff. And it's like there's been the death through Samhain, where there's a realization of things that need to change in your life and what you want to lay to rest. And then Yule is really like when that action starts for me, as far as in the self. Inwardly, that journey starts, this kind of upending and turning over of what doesn't serve anymore. So the Lover's card is really a mantra and a theme for me right now as far as self-love and a marriage of the masculine and the feminine within myself, and a stepping into an empowered viewpoint of loving myself, my body, my experience, my journey, the different aspects of my life, and figuring out how to marry that all in together so that everything that is important to me is a part of my experience. And I am sure that others of you are also really choosing to work with healing this aspect that's wounded within ourselves, and stepping into the fun part of our life and re-embracing what brings us sparkle in our experience and what makes us shine for others, but really shine for ourselves as well. So I hope that the Lover's card, the Judgment card, the Five of Knives, and the Daughter of Scepters, which would be the Page of Wands in other decks, really help us to embrace and honor and allow ourselves to shine and acknowledge our story and work on healing that story and stepping into the fullness of our power through that. So I thank you all for joining me in this video. I hope it hasn't been too rambly, but I do want to share what's been coming through and what I've been learning needs to be addressed and healed within myself. And I know that that applies for some of you as well, so I want to share that. And I also want to share how tarot can help us condense and bring into reality what we're hearing, experiencing intuitively about our current experience. I mean, tarot is just such a wonderful tool to help us to be empowered and to heal and to take a look at things that we sometimes don't want to look at, but that we absolutely need to if we want to change things in our life. So thank you all for joining me. And I don't know, this might be a series, it might not. We'll see what happens with it. But I'm just feeling very excited about change today and knowing that I'm strong enough to create change. So much love and blessings to you all. I'm wishing you all a blessed Yule, and I hope that it brings the return of the light and the sun in a very fulfilling way for all of us. So I will see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.